Hi everyone, and welcome to Newegg TV. This is the Alt-Tab Live show, and it is Black Friday, as Jay just mentioned. And in case you guys didn't notice, Jay's here. Hey, Jay.
Hey.
Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me here.
Of course, of course. Jay is here. Steve is not here. Jenny is here. She's over there. She's manning the chat room, so or womaning the chat room, however you want to put it. So say hi to her in chat. And we have some random tech topics to talk to you guys about today. Of course, it is a holiday week here in the States, so a lot of people were celebrating Thanksgiving yesterday, eating copious amounts of food. Did you do that?
I had the usual fixins.
I had a little bit. I had some turkey.
Turkey, stuffing, potatoes, all the terrible fattening foods that are so great.
All right, so first controversial topic of the day. If you're eating cranberry sauce, I personally much prefer the canned, like just that slab of canned cranberry sauce.
Comes out of the can and it stays in
to the
form.
actual real cranberry sauce that has little berries in it. Okay? This is a very controversial subject. I know there's a lot of strong opinions about that, but I just want to throw it out. I'm sure people will be raging about that in the chat for the rest of the show. But apart from that, it is Black Friday, which traditionally is the time when people lose their minds in order to buy as much stuff as they possibly can. I have bought a few things so far. So let's start off with that. Actually, what we wanted to talk to you guys about today is what you've bought, and we want you guys to tell us in the chat what good deals you found, because I've only done a little bit of searching, and I'm relying on other people to tell me what to buy.
I haven't shopped for anything.
Jay has not shopped for anything. Really? You just completely, this nationally recognized holiday, Jay, this cherished tradition of our culture, and you're just
I don't like to partake in the whole retail space.
I see.
I'm not much of a shopper, but the wife though.
Okay.
Normally we would be out all night Thursday night, shopping all day Friday to get our Christmas shopping done.
Wow.
The wife loves the madness.
And she actually does venture out into the retail stores on Black Friday, or she has in the past?
Well, Black Thursday, technically.
Black Thursday,
because
or
she'll
like
get
Thursday?
in line, like, we'll get done eating.
She did the Thursday evening thing?
Every year.
When?
Well, not this year.
In the past few years?
Oh, as long as I've been around. We've been together 15 years.
Have you scolded her for supporting these businesses that are taking away their employees' family time on Thanksgiving by opening at like 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day?
I have pointed out the terrible nature that Black Friday is in terms of forcing people to work, but yeah, I got out of it this year though because she's 9 months pregnant. So and then last minute,
the only thing that could stop her.
No, here's the thing. Very last minute, yesterday after we were done eating dinner, I'm laying on the couch, I'm relaxing, and then I hear, should we go out? I'm like, no,
really?
No, we shouldn't.
It's like, well, we had plans to make a few runs to some of the local stores, but then her water broke, so we're like, well, we should just go.
I told her, I said, you know, if we go, the inevitable is going to happen while we're out there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I said, I could see it now. My second daughter's birth story. You were born in Kohl's retail floor.
Like that's like in the parking lot. We're trying to rush out to like get over to the hospital. The parking lot's just blocked off, so
yeah.
Probably a good decision to not go out.
No, but for the since last night, I've seen her face glued to the laptop shopping all those online deals.
And that is our initial reports we've been getting is that online shopping this year, not just for like the Cyber Monday or your weekend shopping or whatever, but the Black Friday online shopping has actually been way up.
Yeah.
And no wonder. I mean, there are some like really crazy, insane deals.
It seems like every year the deals are getting better online.
Yeah.
Which is enticing for me, and the free shipping and stuff makes it worth it.
And it seems so much better for, I mean, guys, bear with us here. I know we're talking about the merits of shopping online, and obviously this is the Newegg Alt-Tab Live show. This was not like, nobody came and told us like, hey, like make sure to talk about how awesome it is to shop online. I honestly just believe it's much better because like you look at the doorbuster deals they have, you know, at your retail stores,
right.
And you know they might have a limited quantity of that. And whereas online, yes, people also like I've had things where you add an item to a shopping cart and maybe it gets booted out because you didn't check out in time or that sort of thing. But at least I didn't have to like, you know, elbow my way past 20 people and trample a 2-year-old.
What, 20? You haven't been Black Friday shopping very often.
Well, I mean, just in that last effort to grab whatever, you know, frozen doll or whatever you're trying to buy. But yeah, I do feel a little bit better about actually being able to get some of the deals that you see.
Yeah. As long as the retailers are really good with their inventories and they don't oversell, which some people are guilty of doing.
Yes, that's very true. So We want to know what you guys have bought so far. I guess we should say, you haven't bought anything.
Right.
Okay, that's the third thing we're doing on today's show. If you guys can come up with an awesome deal that's available right now, that is something you think would be up Jay's alley, not necessarily a present, just something Jay would want.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a good enough deal out there for something I need or want, I would probably buy it. It doesn't have to be PC related. In fact, the wife knows. She doesn't even try and shop for me for PC stuff.
Oh, well,
it's like, that would be
yeah, I
fruitless.
don't think mine tries to.
But I mean, I just like gadgets.
So anything gadgety, anything that you think would be up Jay's alley. If you see it and you're like, hey, this is a screaming deal on it. All right, so I have something I bought last night. I bought a multimeter.
Oh yeah.
I haven't had a decent multimeter in a while, so I bought a new one.
And I've had my Fluke for a decade.
So you've got you've already got a nice one. So you don't really need one. But
you know what's funny about my Fluke is I bought it in 2000, so
Okay.
14 years.
Wow.
It's on the same battery it came with.
What?
I'm serious. And I use it all the time.
You have to assume that it's a voltmeter. So every time
Yeah.
you're connecting up and measuring voltage, it's like, I'm just going to take some of that
I don't know.
power
The battery
and
just seems to
charge.
go on forever. And I've used it quite a few times just to verify voltages on motherboards that have, you know, the voltage readouts.
I had a wireless mouse that did that. It lasted forever.
I don't know when this
years
is
and
going to.
years.
Every time I go to use it, I'm like, this is the time I'm going to turn the knob, and it's not going to turn on. But every time it turns on.
So Kitty found a pair of Gunnar gaming eyewear, Intercept Onyx. Onyx, how do you? ONYX. How do you pronounce that
Onyx?
word? Onyx. For $30.
That's a good deal, but I wouldn't buy them since I already have Gunners.
Jay's already got. I've already got.
I have
Gunners too.
the Regents.
Okay. I have. I don't know what mine are called. I don't wear them very much. I always forget to put them on. My wife has a pair though, and she wears them at work because she does online retail too, and she stares at the screen a lot.
Yep.
All right, so we got Define R5 and an i7 4790K that T1 Yeti wants. It's a good combo. Can you buy the Define R5 yet? We did videos on that, and like
I've been kind of looking around.
Difficult to locate.
I've been looking around various retailers. I haven't seen it.
Newegg had it in stock
yet.
All right, so we actually do have some articles pulled up here. So, sorry, this is just something I pulled up. Hey, go away.
Doesn't that picture really just capture the day, though?
It's like some guy's like, I'm just trying to stock a shelf, and all these people are like, oh,
guys, they're empty boxes. We don't care. We want it.
Yeah.
That's kind of the. See, and that's the madness I don't like to participate in.
Oh yeah, I have not physically gone out to shop for anything on Black Friday in.
There's
years,
3 stores
years
you should always avoid, and they're the same 3 stores my wife insists on going to: Kohl's, Target, and Toys R Us.
Oh God.
Those 3 places.
It's like the trifecta of evil right there.
It's terrible. If you had faith in humanity, you would lose it by the end of the night.
Oh God, yeah. I saw some Walmart video last night. I haven't seen anything like really good. I feel like every year by the time Black Friday's over, there's some like your really good videos that some random guy on a smartphone, you know, some dude. It's always like some like boorish, like kind of like looking white dude right there who just looks like he's pissed off and doesn't want to be there. But he's like, I gotta get that toy for my daughter.
And the wife makes me
and
go.
he does something really like violent or dismissive or something to like an elderly woman or like a small child or something like that. Those videos have to be out there. Not that I condone that sort of thing, but we should watch it and shame those people. All right, so what did you buy on Black Friday? Well, I bought, so far, new cell phones because my contract was up. So my wife and I both got new cell phones.
Are you gonna say what you got, or is that for an upcoming?
I'll go ahead and say that I went ahead and got the Nexus 6.
Oh, okay.
So I was on the fence about it.
Nice, good, clean Android experience.
That's really what I got it for because I haven't had a vanilla or like an unadulterated Android phone yet. However, it is through AT&T, so it is going to have some AT&T crap on there, which I'm not looking forward to, but I might end up just rooting it anyway. So what's the point of getting a vanilla Android device? If
you should root any Android you have, regardless.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I got the Nexus 6. I like measure. I haven't held one yet. I like drew out how big it is on the piece of paper, and I put my phone on. I was like, oh my God, yeah. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I like the 4K video. I like the vanilla Android experience, and I wanted something that was new. My wife got the Galaxy S5 Active, which is.
My Android, I'm still running an S3 and I have no problems with it. It's been 2 solid years.
Yeah.
It's my business phone.
Okay.
But I think that if I were to get another Android device, I would probably get a Nexus.
Yeah, so like if the Galaxy S6 was out, I would probably get that.
Right.
Because I know there's going to be a lot of hype around it, and it would be a cool
If the
phone to try
interface
out.
is as smooth as my Nexus 7 has been.
Well, the problem. So the other thing I was seriously considering was the Note 4, and the reason I didn't go with it was because of the user interface experience that is described there by so many people.
Right.
Because Samsung.
What do they call it? TouchWiz.
Yeah, it's called TouchWiz. And it's like Samsung is trying so hard to be their own entity and like separate from Android somehow. Right. And they've done so much to like bastardize the whole UI environment and change things around. And I don't like that. I don't like all the.
That's the one thing I don't like about my Samsung S3 is it still has TouchWiz. But for the most part, the only thing that's really feels any different is the menu structure.
Okay.
But the main, like the home screen and stuff is all Android. So I don't know how the new Samsungs are. I've not really compared too much on new Android devices, other than my Nexus 7, and that's like vanilla, like you said. So
I'm ditching LG this time around because they disappointed me by calling my phone outdated only like 1 year and 6 months after it was launched.
But it's a dinosaur.
I know, and I was like, "This is you're stupid," and they never updated it to KitKat, and I don't know. It's just it was. I had issues with it, and it wasn't anything I wanted to keep going with. All right, where are we going here? Yes, we have some deals here. This is actually from Maximum PC, and they had a cool roundup of some Newegg deals. There's actually lots of deals,
especially with AMD
from lots of places. But here's some of the random deals for Newegg. So I already ran over some of these with Jay, and he didn't immediately decide to buy any of them. But an AMD FX 6350 for $110.
That's a good price.
An FX 8320 for $120. An FX 8350 for $150.
That's like a pretty amazing deal right there.
It's still an extremely solid 8-core processor.
And it's only going to get, it's like, not to derail the conversation real quick, just a little side note, because I know that people are going to ask. Is the 8350, although it's built on an older architecture, you know, the FX relaunched in 2011, I believe, 2012 went mainstream.
It's been,
as the APIs improve, and the APIs start separating the graphics card and CPU as much when it comes to overhead, they're only going to start performing better as game developers start utilizing these DX12 and Mantle.
Oh yeah.
So I still think it's a very worthwhile gaming PC, streaming PC, you know, CPU for those needs.
Yeah, and actually that's something I was going to say, that is if you're looking for a streaming system, that's, well, we're using the 9590 back here. It's the system that we regularly stream on, but they're essentially the same chip. The 9590 is just overclocked. But yeah, with 8 cores doing multiple things, I mean, we have XSplit running for the stream. We've got multiple windows open. We've got Twitch open. We're running a 4K monitor next to I think this is just a 1080 monitor. But yeah, everything, this is a very solid system. And given the issues that streaming systems often have, if you guys watch any live tech streaming channels, it's done a great job for us.
Josh says hi.
Oh, hey, Josh. Yeah. Thanks for watching, Josh. If you're watching right now. Moving on down the line here, though. So the 8350 for $150. I saw. I'm not sure if it was at Newegg, but I know the 9590 was on sale for $200.
Yeah. You remember what those launched at, man? Yeah,
like 800 or something ridiculous. We also have a couple Intel deals. i7 4790 for $290. That's with the coupon code.
That's not the K, by the way.
Not the K. But if you're not going to overclock, then it's just as good as a 4790K. And then an i5 4430 for $175. What do you think? 8350, or as let's say 8370 for 170, or 4430 for 175?
I'd probably go with the 8370.
I think I would too.
Right. I mean, the 8370 is overclockable, whereas the 4430 is going to be a bit more locked. Wattage is, I mean, granted, the wattage in the 8370 is still a bit higher, but I think you're going to get more for your money with the 8370.
Yeah, your IPC is going to be better with the Intel, but I think bang for your buck and just with what it's capable of, I'd go for the 8370 there as well. Moving on down the line here, we got some memory deals. Mushkin 16 gig kit for $152. Is there any DDR4 on here? We got a 2300 kit. That's 2x4 gig.
I don't think we're going to see any DDR4. It's still so premium.
No, there's no DDR4. That's too bad. DDR4 is still very expensive, but at least some decent deals on DDR3 memory.
Right.
Since
now storage, these are the exciting
ones.
What we
got here? 2 terabyte USB external drives for $80. WD 4 terabyte for $130. The green drive. solid. I would go for that as long as it's not in a 24/7 usage
You want
scenario.
a red for that, right?
Yeah, you'd want a red or a black for that. Seagate backup plus 5 terabyte external hard drive for 145. WD Elements 4 terabyte for 111. PNY Optima 480 gig for 160. Here we go. Samsung 840 EVO 1 terabyte
For 360.
for 360.
That's how much 512s we're going for.
Yeah. Now the Evo has the Evo had a really good run for a while, and then it got a little rain on the parade because they found out that some of the wearing issues with the TLC memory was cropping up. But they've issued a firmware patch to kind of deal with it. Honestly, for most people who are not really hammering the drive, it's not going to be something that comes up anyway.
I can't say if it was the case for me, since the moment I got my drive, I updated the firmware before installing anything anyway.
Yeah.
Because I got mine after that was discovered. But the 840 EVO is still a solid performer. I mean, I know the 850's out, but I mean, really the differences are so marginal between the two. I still find that 840 EVO to be a fantastic drive.
Yeah, and the software package with the 840, the Samsung SSD Magician software, in my experience, is just the best SSD manufacturer-made software. The stuff you could do with it, really easy to use. It's got a Cronus built in for backups. It's really solid. And then you can do that the memory thing where it uses your memory to cache for the SSD.
Right.
You can get really fast speeds. Anyway, this is several pages long. Is everyone enjoying us going over all of these? Oh, we got video cards. We have to go over video cards.
Cannot go without
These are
video
still
cards.
all at Newegg. This must be the Maximum PC Newegg deal. Good job, Paul Lilly. All right. An R9 290 for $270.
And now, real quick, this is Maximum PC. I know these are all showing Newegg deals.
Yeah.
But this is Maximum PC's website. We're not looking at Newegg's deal page, even
Yeah.
though Newegg has obviously been very aggressive this year.
I mean, Newegg does advertise with Maximum PC. I know there's a positive relationship there. But this is a roundup of Black Friday deals, so I guess there's just
There's a deal I know of that's not on there I want to mention.
Yes?
The VisionTech R9 290 CryoVenom with the block installed, $299.
Really?
That's what's in Bloodshed, the test rig I showed you guys a video of today.
Wow.
It's not listed there because I think the deal starts on the 1st.
Oh, really?
So
Is that Cyber Monday? I have no idea.
I don't know. They sent out an emailer. You guys can go to their website and find out more about it. But a 290, not a 290X, but an R9 290 with EK water block and backplate installed for $299. I think the 290X was $399 or $299.
Awesome.
No, $399. Sorry, 290X was $399 with the block. 290 was $299 with the block.
Wow.
That is an insane deal.
Especially if you already have a loop and you're just dropping it in, that's
well, because the block
amazing,
itself, if you go to EK's website and look at the price of the block, it's $115 for the block. That essentially makes the card under $200.
for a 290
Yeah.
straight up, which is like 90% of a 290X.
Right, because the Sapphire Tri-X right there is what, $270 for it.
That's
$250
with a $20 mail-in rebate, making it $250.
Right.
There's a 290X here for $300 after a $30 mail-in rebate, 270X for $140 after a mail-in rebate, a 280 for $155 after a mail-in rebate. A question that pops into my mind, and I don't know the answer to it, but I would want to find out if I was buying one of these cards, is are these eligible for any of the AMD gaming deals that are available? Are you going to get free games along with it? I would check that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. But
the gaming bundles, when they're tiered gaming bundles, are always a deciding factor in AMD cards. Because you could get like, $90 worth of games with the card.
you can get the Kingpin 780 Ti for $520.
I don't know if I would
It's so,
grab that
I know,
though.
I wouldn't. I look at that and I'm like,
$980.
if only it was like months ago before the 980 launched. But
Yeah.
of course, it would never have sold for that much. Yeah, it's just such an awesome card.
That would only
but
make sense to me for people who want to SLI one they may already have.
that would be a good deal for that. Yeah.
But I'm the kind of person that would still advocate selling it and getting a new generation.
I would also probably advocate that. If you guys don't remember, it's this one right here.
Right, with the clear cooler that was a little bit controversial.
Yeah. I liked it.
Looks to me like you could have popped it off and painted or dyed it though.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, moving right along. We got I guess there's not really no 970 or 980 deals, but they don't really need to make deals on those right now.
I'm trying to see what would be the best deal of those cards.
Like the best deal?
Right. Like if let's say you're doing 1080p gaming, because many of those cards are tailored towards 1080p, right?
Yeah.
Except for the 780 Ti and the 290, 290X.
290 for 1080 is pretty beastly.
If you're running like a higher than 60 hertz panel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of the 270X, that exact one specifically, the MSI Twin Frozer one.
Oh yeah, the
130 after mail and rebate. That's a heck of a deal.
That is a pretty good deal. Ooh, I like this design too. I like MSI's design.
That's their previous cooler. The new one looks really nice too, but the previous Twin Frozer, when they launched the gaming series last year, it looks really nice.
I've seen that one.
It's like first half is black and then it's red, and it has like a really aggressive looking cooler on it.
Pretty sweet. All right, so motherboard deals. What do we got? ASRock. This is they're showing an Asus.
I know, is it on there?
X99.
I don't see that Asus. That board's not on there.
Oh, they can't show us the X99 Deluxe and then...
It says X99-A ATX. Is that it? Because they call it the X99 Deluxe on their SKUs.
This is a picture of the Deluxe.
Right, but that's...
But no, it's the X99A that's on sale for $230.
Right, that's the smaller, the lesser featured one.
$235, yeah. Still, I mean, $235 for a X99.
It makes X99 affordable if you couple that with like a 5820K.
Yeah, that would be a good combo. Some other deals. I don't want to run down this whole list. You like her?
Bottom line is, if a lot of people I know were saying they wanted to wait till Black Friday to build their PCs. Clearly, this is the time to do it.
Oh yeah. What I always would get, like just on forums and everything, right after Black Friday or a week later, is everyone being like, "Oh, I saw this on Black Friday.
Yeah.
Can I get that again?" It's like, no, sorry.
What's terrible though is I always feel bad for the people who bought just before Black Friday.
Oh yeah, and then suddenly it drops.
Because the cool thing, I actually got some tweets from some international fans saying, "Thank you, America, for Black Friday, because the entire world gets the benefit."
Oh really? Do prices drop all over?
Apparently so.
All over the world?
I got some tweets yesterday from people saying they were getting fantastic deals on Black Friday, even in European retailers.
Hey, that's pretty sweet. Hey, we got some power supplies here.
Unfortunately, I think Australia is still kind of out there on pricing, though.
I think, actually, no, I shouldn't comment on Australia's economy because I don't know enough about it. The Hyper T12 Evo for $35, which is what it always is.
Yeah, that's weird.
Doesn't seem like a very... It was a $5 mail-in rebate.
Yeah, it's normally $34.99.
You just have multiple ones of those lying around anyway. A couple good power supply deals here. Tough Power 750, 80 plus gold for $90.
And semi-modular.
Really solid power supply. Very good internals. Cooler Master Silent Pro.
They're getting a little dated.
1,000 watt. The what?
They're getting a little dated though.
The Silent Pro?
We're not seeing too many silver certifications anymore.
Yeah. Oh, this is an older model, but that's probably why it's so cheap. But $1,000 silver rated for 130.
You mean 1,000 watts? You said $1,000.
$1,000 for 130 watts.
Sign me up. We found that thing I'm going to buy, Paul.
Little bit of dyslexia.
No, it's still a fantastic power supply. It just seems like power supplies nowadays, like modern stuff, seems to be skipping. Like they've sweet spotted right out of silver.
Oh yeah, silver. There's no new silver, 80 plus silver. They're all going to be gold or platinum.
And it definitely beats a bronze.
Titanium. All right, Black Friday deals, desktop systems. Do you guys want us to keep going over this list?
We still have 750 people in here.
All right, that's cool. We're going to keep talking about this awesome list that anyone can go look at on MaximumPC.com right now. But full systems. All right. So this is always the difficult when people say like, "Hey, I want to build a system?"
Yeah.
And then I put all these parts together. I'm like, "Here's this system. It's going to cost $1,000." What? No what? No, don't keep going over this list of deals for Black Friday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jenny is yelling at us, and I'm scared now.
I'm about distracted.
If you guys could see the look she's giving.
I fell asleep twice.
Well, you're very tired. Jenny has been at the Hybrid Center today, up the street here, talking with people and
You're not even talking about Newegg deals. What are you doing?
These are Newegg deals. What are you talking about? These have all been Newegg deals.
Remember, you said you were sleeping.
Just because you fell asleep, don't blame us because you missed. There's one non-Dell. Well, there's an iBuy Power here.
Things got awkward very fast.
All right. There's a Newegg CyberPower Gamer Extreme.
If you guys did any actual prep for the show today.
No, we did because this is we're doing this as like a tech talk combined with Alt Tab, and for tech talk, it's just you go and you talk, and that's all it really is. No, we do have some prep.
Let's do some Twitter questions. You're about halfway right now.
That is good. All right, time for some Q&A, guys. Send us your Twitter questions. We should have Twitter names located here somewhere. Where did it go? Yes, I am at Paul Hardware. Jay is at JayzTwoCents. Ask us questions and things, and we will see if we can answer them to the best of our abilities.
And if we don't know how to answer them, we'll just spit out some jargon.
And if we don't know how to answer them, we will make stuff up. And we'll say it with confidence so that, oh, there's one. We'll say it with confidence so that people believe us. There's another good one. Oh, someone bought an S340. How? What is this? So the 4670K is priced higher than the 4690K.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Those are like roughly comparable SKUs, so it just means that there's a really good deal on the 4670K. It means there's a really good deal on the 4690K right now. Yeah, that's all that means. All right. Oh, we actually have some good questions here, Jay. Let me favorite these so I can bring them on screen for us. Let's start with one for you.
For me.
The Star Wars trailer. So we were getting some requests before we started the show today to check out the Star Wars trailer because they just launched one for and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw it.
We watched it.
Not to give any spoilers if you haven't seen 1981's Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
The good guys win. So my question is, what's happening? Because it's definitely a teaser.
They can always bring stuff back, you know, somebody come back. I mean,
Why
the
won't
dark
the
side,
Sith just
you can't
die?
kill the dark side all the way.
Not without killing the light side.
I thought the coolest thing that I saw in it was, you know, that new lightsaber, because it's like a lightsaber, but then it's got like a hilt.
Yeah, the hilt was like another
flame,
hilt. Yeah.
Which seems dangerous. I mean, lightsabers always seem really dangerous to me, but I feel like it could so easily just like take a knuckle off with that or something.
Yeah, I'm glad that they don't exist. I would probably be trying to use it to open up cans, and I would end up losing a hand. Because everybody loses a hand in Star Wars.
I would too.
If you haven't lost a hand, you're not a main character in Star Wars.
A hand, an arm, some type of limb. That does seem to be very, very
I saw this video of somebody that had like stitched together all the different limbs being cut off scenes in Star Wars for all 6 current movies.
Really?
It went for like 8 minutes. It was like an 8-minute long video with all the different severed limbs.
Is it kind of like the one of Worf getting told no in Star Trek?
Yeah, it was very similar to that.
That's a very good one. We actually have a lot of questions, Jay. I'm favoriting all of these, and we're gonna answer them all.
Gesundheit. Our moderator has sneezed.
We're gonna share knowledge with people. All right. Moving right along. Next Twitter question.
I dropped my phone.
Is not a question, but I wanted to show everyone that Strider. Oh, it's updating here. Strider, hey, go away. Why does it say that? Strider favorited my YouTube video that I uploaded earlier today. It's a
shameless plug.
It's a garage work log. Shameless plug. Go watch my new garage work log. It's very exciting. It's a time-lapse video. Can we talk about how Far Cry 4 won't run on a dual-core system?
There's a couple of things we could talk about, actually, with Ubisoft in general. If we want to go there.
I feel like that's been discussed a lot, but this is one of the new things.
There is the patch.
There's the patch.
200 fixes.
All right, so there's a patch with 200 fixes for Assassin's Creed Unity, but none of those fixes involve fixing the frame rate.
That's a future fix.
They're gonna handle that in the future. So it's like, hey.
So it's
like people's faces not showing up and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I
guess
saw that. It was like a
worrying.
makeout scene with almost like eyeballs and a tongue.
Yeah, they're like doing the low-hanging fruit, I suppose.
Yeah.
The ones where people jump off the building and then they just keep falling into infinity.
Oh yeah.
Well,
all those.
They should have called it Assassin's Creed Affinity then.
Assassin's Creed Infinity.
Questions from the chat?
No, we actually have a lot of questions. So, but going to the dual-core thing.
Is it just a requirements thing?
Yeah, it requires a dual-core processor.
I guess my question...
it requires more than a dual-core processor.
So quad-core only?
Yes, it will
Does that mean
run.
an i3 with hyper-threading would not work?
A dual-core with hyper-threading will work, but the performance is terrible.
Is this listed officially in their requirements, or did they revamp the requirements?
I do not know that for sure, but I feel like this is not something that was a shocker. It's just something that was like came up after. It was like, oh, and by the way, you can't play it on a dual-core system. I don't think it's something they tried to sneak by.
I think this is making news because of how popular the Intel Anniversary CPU was.
Yes, then that's exactly what you see on every article about this. I do have an article for this. 8.
It's one of the reasons why I still don't recommend this CPU. I don't remember the SKU number by heart.
G3258.
I still don't recommend it for this very reason. I've said before, gaming developers are starting to utilize the threads available to them. Granted, it's 6-7 years after the fact, when the Q6600 launched, but this is why I still don't recommend it. It's a great PC if you're going to be doing, or CPU if you're going to be doing basic stuff, but I've already said I feel like it was going to age itself out of relevance rather early, and this is kind of like proof of that thought.
Well, proof if you really, 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 really wanted to play Far Cry 4.
But are future games going to start having the same type of requirement? That's the
maybe,
thing.
and that's really the question here. Is this requirement something that was put in place arbitrarily, or did they do it because actually the way that they designed the game needed 4 cores in order to behave? And from what people are saying who are trying to force the game to run on a dual core with hyperthreading, where you don't have as many resources available, it's simulating 4 cores, but you still only have 2 physical cores. It's not performing very well.
Right.
I would say, just in the interest of pushing gaming forward, doing stuff that makes hardware, that requires better hardware, I would say I approve of it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that kind of to play devil's advocate, but I think in a lot of situations, like take something like a socket change on a motherboard. A lot of times people say, oh, why did they change the socket? They just wanted people to have to buy a new motherboard and make more money. And granted, that might be the case sometimes. But if they made the socket change because they physically needed more space in order to have more connections on there and to improve the experience of that people are having and provide and actually design a better product that's not being held back by older technology or older things that it needs to maintain compatibility with.
I agree with that statement. Usually you can get about 2 years out of an Intel socket without being sort of phased out in terms of evolution in that socket.
Yeah.
It's what I also tell people too, though, who ask me like, well, why do the sockets change so often? Is, well, you can have companies like AM3 Plus. How long has that been around? But you become limited to the architecture you can put on that chip with the current pinout.
Yeah.
So there's good and bad to it.
So it sucks that if you just built a new G3258 system and you wanted to play this game that you can't. That does suck, because that's a new chip.
Right.
It's only 6 months old.
And we really don't know if this is developer laziness or real requirements of whatever the engine is they're currently using. I'm not too familiar what the Far Cry 4 engine is. Is it? It's not Unreal, is it?
Blah blah blah.
If it was Unreal, it should work. I would assume. I don't think it mentions it.
I can do.
I didn't even see that article. First thing that came to mind was that G258, and apparently
they don't say the word engine in this article.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's answer some more questions. Aaron Hunt asks, "What computer part gets you the most excited and why?"
Me?
Yes.
Oh, the graphics card, of course.
Yeah, graphics card.
It's like a PC and a PC.
I've said the same thing myself.
That's why I never get too excited about APUs, because usually it's just enough strength to get you by, but graphics cards really change your whole experience on games.
I'd say graphics card, and if you look at the past, say, 5, 6, 7 years, Intel's Enthusiast platform launches.
This is my first time ever dealing with the Enthusiast line, so I was excited about it, and now I have 2 of them, but I still am more excited about graphics cards than
yeah, by and large, graphics cards, it's more frequent that there's new cards that come out. It's an easy drop in. I would say also the Enthusiast platform launches, the CPU or the platform in general, because from a consumer computing perspective, that's where you have the fastest and the most like hardcore. Yeah. Anyone who's like, what's the best computer you could build right now? It's well, take the Intel's Enthusiast platform and all the highest level stuff, and that's the fastest stuff that's available.
I think what happened for me though was I had always been on the mainstream, like all the way from my E6300, first dual core, right, for Intel's non-Pentium D. We won't go there because that was a different story. But anyway, I had never dealt with the Enthusiast line, so I knew X99 was coming, so I held off on X79. I didn't want to go obsolete too quickly. So my only experience with the Enthusiast line were all of the early adopter pains that go along with it.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of have a jaded perspective of how exciting it would be. And I would have to assume too, if someone went from a nice matured X79 build to an X99 on launch day, that they would have felt the same pains I felt.
Oh yeah.
I still have SLI problems with streaming. I have to disable SLI on X99 to get a non-flickering experience. So, I mean, I'm still not super excited about the X99 platform in terms of gamers, but when it comes to workflow and workload, that did get me pretty excited.
It's a very like first world problems type discussion. It's like the closer you get to the cutting edge of hardware, and the more like it costs, and the faster it is, and the more you're like, oh, it's awesome, it's the best stuff possible, and then you start to be like, yeah, but the drivers aren't really optimized, and you can't really just like.
It's a hard life we live.
Oh, boo-hoo, you and your 5960X.
It's a hard life we have to live, Paul, but someone has to live it.
It's really tough.
We do this. We take the pains for you guys. No, but seriously though, it's the only way you can really learn, too, is to be hands-on with it. Because I can talk about things I read in an article, but I want first-hand experience.
So I have a quick question.
Yes.
Why aren't the monitors on in the background?
The monitors aren't on in the background because when I got here, because Steve's been doing some testing back here, and I went to plug some stuff in, and then I was just, you know what? I'm going to leave the monitors off. That's because nothing is plugged in. It's back there. Nothing's plugged in, and I was more interested in getting all this set up and doing our tests and all that kind of thing. So, yeah.
No nice moving matrix
monitors
backgrounds.
function, but sorry, the background's a little bit boring these days, or for today's episode at least. All right, so that's a good question, Aaron. Thank you for asking. All right, here's a oh gosh, this won't line up. Selmore Smith. Would you go with one GTX 980 or with two GTX 970s? So headroom for upgrade or price performance plus higher power cons. This is a question I have been asked before, and I'm sure you have too.
A lot of times.
And I think we both would say.
I personally would say go with the single 980.
I would too.
I think it depends on the resolution too, though. Like, we don't know what resolution or type of monitors they're running. But yes, one graphics card is always going to give you a very user-friendly experience versus two. Because you're still at the mercy of SLI profiles,
So would you say, like, say triple 1080 surround, you might lean towards 970, or like 4K, you might lean towards, the two-way 970?
If you were doing like 5760 by 1080, then I would say the two 970s.
Two 970s would handle that a lot better.
Yeah, but
and you got 4 gigs either way, so.
It's plenty of VRAM for that resolution. But I personally have, over time, disabled 5760 by 1080 resolution in my games. I don't play it anymore.
Okay.
Usually because the fisheye effect is so bad. And I know that there's things like widescreen fix and other programs that'll fix that.
Yeah.
But then you're introducing even more failure points in your user experience. So I just do single
software.
1080p gaming at 144 hertz with my three 980s, and I'm happy with that. But one is more than enough for that as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I think by and large you're going to want to go with the single 980 in that situation, just because yes, you'll have an upgrade path in the future if you do want to add a second one, especially if prices drop, and you're just going to run into way fewer complications with a single card than with a two-way setup.
Like Far Cry.
Nothing of the fact
I think
that
Far Cry launched and there was no SLI profile.
There's games, even AAA titles, where going from one card to two nets you nothing. Like it's zero improvement. So yeah, generally we'll always say go for a single powerful
and
card.
Sometimes I'm asked if it's worth it going from 2 to 3, and the diminishing returns at that point is so poor.
Yeah. Try going through it. Steve was doing 4-way testing, and he was like, I put in the 4th card, and like, the benchmark went down. I was like, yeah, that happens sometimes. Makes you feel kind of sad. All right, Aikido for the Win Gaming _YouTube was the one who pointed out to us the discrepancy that the 4670K is priced higher than the 4690K. So everyone go buy your 4690Ks right now.
There's no reason to buy a 70 over a 90 anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Lamont Cranston asks, 21:9, 4K, or triple monitor setup?
You asking me?
Yeah. I can answer first, and then you can answer.
Take it. Because I think we have different answers.
I think there's other variables to take into account there. If you've already got a system and it's not super high powered, I might dive into 21:9 right now, because it's actually a pretty cool experience with a really wide monitor, and I think it's better than say a triple monitor setup if you if you really like the widescreen, because you don't have to deal with bezels or working with multiple
Because it's essentially two
screens.
4x3s side by side.
So I'd say that. Other than that, 4K, I've really enjoyed working with 4K so far. I still think there's some maturity that needs to happen with the manufacturing processes in order to bring us stuff like higher refresh rate 4K monitors. We're actually going to need HDMI 2.0 available on some of these, or DisplayPort 1.3 to get high refresh rate at 4K.
Some monitors still do not give you 60 hertz with HDMI 2.0. Like the mono price monitor you and I both checked out. HDMI 2.0, I specifically bought one to see if I could get the 60 hertz, and you can't.
Well, that doesn't have HDMI 2.0.
That monitor.
The mono price.
Right, and I learned that after.
Oh, okay.
Because I finally went and looked at the manual. I'm like, oh, it says clearly DisplayPort 1.2 or higher to get the 60 hertz.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it depends on what you're doing. I have my 4-screen setup, my 3 panels plus an accessory, and for workflow needs, that is phenomenal.
Yeah,
to have different folders up, and I can just grab what I want, and it makes editing super easy. 4K for me.
That's why you're so efficient.
The answer is more panels. Just do what Jerry does.
Okay.
More panels.
More panels.
Bigger panels. No, in all seriousness though, 28-inch 4K for me is still too small. It's too small of a panel for that fine of a resolution, and 4K I feel was made for TVs and giant-sized panels. So 4K, even though I've been playing around with it, I put it on the test bench so I can get 4K test results. I won't use it for a daily driver. It's a taste thing. Panel 28 inches. You got 4 1080p's in a quad.
I will say that I think there are certain games that even with all the limitations of 4K right now that you can play and get a nice benefit from. I would say certain games like Civilization.
Because it's a viewable area.
Yeah, because it's a viewable area thing, and you can just see so much more, and you can see more detail.
I will say this though. I tweeted this last night, and it surprised some people. 4K medium settings on Battlefield with no AA was clearer and sharper than 1080p Ultra 4X MSAA.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
And that I was surprised because I had a very hard time seeing a difference between medium and ultra on Battlefield 4 on 4K. Clearly that goes to show the textures are not 4K. So we had diminishing returns on presets and graphic settings in the game as well. So it goes to show a lot of the games themselves are not really optimized for 4K. So
not at all.
And the frame rates were, I put on 60 frames per second setting in Windows and put on VSync. 4K 60 frames per second locked in the game, and it was very enjoyable.
Oh, well that's good.
Yeah, so keep that in mind too. 4K panels, you don't have to go with ultra settings. You're going to get better than 1080p even at lower settings.
Oh yeah. I mean the 1080 to 4K it's a pretty big difference. I mean, the Windows 8 does a decent job handling the UI changes that are needed. You'll find when you restart after setting the resolution, Windows 8 will update and it'll make things a little bit bigger, which is better, way better than Windows 7. So unless you're getting a third-party software to handle it, it's
I see people mentioning in the chat here about 3-way 4Ks. That's like 12 1080p monitors.
That's roughly equivalent. So back here in the background we have these NEC monitors. What are they? The PA301Ws. They're 30-inch, 2560 by 1600 monitors. They're beautiful. They're really expensive because they're made with really high. They have really good color depth and color reproduction. So they're made for like production and editing and video and photo work and stuff like that. When we set this up, 4K wasn't available. But those 3 panels together is something like 12 billion pixels.
Yeah,
as compared to 4K, which is like somewhere between 8 and 9 billion. So even that is taking 4K to the next level. 3 4K panels. I mean, it's so impractical for any actual gameplay. Unless I don't know like an older game. You take like a 5-year-old game. Would it even
Counter-Strike Go?
Could you even play it at 4K resolution? CS:GO?
CS:GO.
Maybe that'd be an option. Okay.
I have to wonder too, even what the desktop load would be on the graphics card.
Just for viewing desktop.
Just for desktop.
Is arrow on or off?
Well, if you're Windows 8, you have no arrow, right?
Oh yeah, it's but the transparency or whatever. Okay, let's move on. Another question here from Epic Jonathan. Best GPU from NVIDIA to pair with an i5 4690K for Battlefield 4, running a 760 on Ultra for 93 frames per second, solid CPU, stock at 3.5 gigahertz. I think I mostly understand that. So he's got a 4690K. He wants to play Battlefield 4. He's currently running a GTX 760, and he gets 93 frames per second.
My question is, why upgrade?
Why? Yeah, why do you need another?
If you're running a
GPU?
60 hertz panel too, you're already above
Yeah.
your refresh rate.
If I'm reading this correctly, if I'm not reading this correctly, then a 760 is a perfectly adequate card for Battlefield 4 at 1080.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You might not be able to go max on everything, but you could probably get close to it.
I would assume though he's not running ultra to get that FPS, but still,
Yeah.
you don't have to. The 760 is a great 1080p performer.
Yeah, so a 760 good option. Like an NVIDIA or an AMD option might be like a
270X.
270X, maybe a 280X if you're going to spend a little bit more.
Or even a 285. It's fantastic.
Yeah, 285 is a good option there. So any of those you'll have good choices with. And
it really helps too if we know what resolution they're running at in some of these questions.
Yeah. So guys, if you're asking us questions about gaming, tell us what type of monitor you have or what type of monitor you're thinking about getting, because that's a big factor. All right, Damon Bruckheimer asks, I stuffed that MSI Gaming R9 270X into a Corsair Air 240. It was a tight fit. That's awesome. I'm glad that it fit.
Yeah.
That's probably
Is the Corsair Air 240 really that tight? The 270X isn't that long.
the Air 240. Hold on,
It's that cube design.
yeah, that's the cube one. It shouldn't have been that tight. You're
I
right.
mean, it's about the size of a mid tower.
I'm totally doing this wrong. Yeah. Well, still, that's a good system.
Yeah.
Way to go, Damon. All right. Anibal Barboza says using 125 watt 1055T, VRMs are at 37C on a Gigabyte 978-UD3P. Will the FX8320 increase it
900C.
to 9? Maybe she means 90C.
That's like 900C is like melting gold.
Would a 970A accept an FX8320? That would be my question. I don't think
970A actually will. It
970A
depends on the
'cause
board.
it's
You
a
might need a
9
firmware update.
Yeah.
But not all 970A motherboards. I think the UD3 does. You'd have to check, but not all 970A motherboards will accept a 125 watt chip. Some of them only accept 95 watt chips.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to look into that. But I don't understand what the increase to 900C means. I'm a little confused by that.
Maybe she's asking.
I mean, clearly she wants to go from her 1055, which is the Phenom 6-core, to an 8320. You know what's funny too about that is depending on what she's doing, if it's a girl, Annabelle, I'm assuming, Annabelle.
It's either a girl or a pony.
You're losing 2 cores, but depending on what you're doing, you might not see much of an improvement going from a 1055 to an 8320.
Yeah, that doesn't, like, for me, looking at that at your setup right now, I wouldn't just upgrade the CPU. I would, like, for me, anytime I'm looking at an upgrade, if it's any of the 3 core components, motherboard, CPU, memory to a lesser extent since everything's DDR3, but memories or motherboard, CPU at least, like that's a bulk upgrade to me. I would wait and do a platform upgrade rather than
one
just
definitely
the CPU.
affects the other.
Yeah, because you'll spend a lot of work on that. You're going to be you're going to have to replace your cooler and everything, and the performance improvement probably isn't going to be that substantial. Philip or FlyMolo1 asks, I have a Corsair H110. I think the motor might be failing. Is there any audio cues I can listen for? Pumps, usually when they start to fail, will start making noise indicating that something is possibly off balance,
Right.
or possibly that a seal is drying out or breaking. Usually, in my experience at least, and I haven't dealt with as many as Jay has, but you might start hearing a rattle, something off balance.
There could be a rattle. More often than not, you'll hear kind of like almost like a buzzing sound, like the motor. Physically, the motor starts kind of making a roar, and you'll notice it's going up and down, like the motor speeding up and slowing down, and not like PWM speed up and slow down with load.
Yeah.
But just it's kind of real wavy on the tone.
Just sounds like it's struggling.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like, think of it like a train going uphill, and it's just kind of making this kind of a real struggling sound. Motors should not be making any buzzing sounds, first of all. A normal whirring noise is normal for a motor, but anything louder than, say, your fan coming from your motor making any sort of buzzing sound that fluctuates a lot is an indication that it's going bad. And this is why this is important. Don't run it this way. When the motor starts doing that, it means it's starting to fail, which means the heat is going to go up, the bearings are getting hot. It could put an increased draw on the lines, which means the power cables themselves can get hot, melt the shielding, and catch fire. This has happened quite a bit to a lot of different all-in-one pumps. So if you start hearing that noise, do yourself a favor, turn it off. And I would contact
Corsair
or whoever.
Grab your stock heatsink fan that you left in the box and pop it on there for a week or so until you can get an RMA. Turn your overclock off, and you'll be fine. But I know Corsair is good with RMAs and for an H110.
But if it sounds incredibly different than when you first installed it, chances are there are audio cues for it going bad.
All right, Dan Halen, or at Dan Hurry, asks, what should I look at when buying a microphone for live streaming and podcasts? It's a good question.
Yeah.
I will say that my audio knowledge is not nearly as up to par as some of the other folks out there.
Right. Like Jerry's a very good source for that.
I think Jerry does a good job with that. I know the dudes over at Hardware Canucks have improved their audio by leaps and bounds over time. I still use a very simple solution at home, which is just the Sony Zoom H1, which is a little all-in-one unit.
Yeah.
I would say I would take a look at where you're going to be podcasting from, what kind of environment that you're in. Whether you're in a small room that you're not going to have to worry much about echoes or noise or anything like that.
If you are, though, a cardioid mic helps a lot because it cancels out all sound behind the microphone. There's a lot of USB. There's a really good, there's like the Audio-Technica AT2020 is like a really good go-to podcaster mic. It's about $100. It's a USB interface. But yeah,
the blue Snowball and the Yeti are both.
If you can get the Yeti for a good price, go with that over the Snowball. Has different pickup patterns.
Saw the Yeti for a Black Friday deal last night for $100.
That's a pretty good price. When I bought mine, it was $150. I bought it 2 years ago, though. The Yeti sounds fantastic. In fact, a lot of the voiceovers I do for like the pre-roll stuff, I'm using my Yeti and not my Sennheiser, professional setup. But the Snowball, it's good, but the Snowball tends to have a lot of a tinny sound to it. So I'm not a fan of the Snowball. That's just looks like a white snowball, I guess.
I have a black one. But
oh, it had to be different.
Yeah, that's what came.
But basically, guys, you don't need to have like super high-end audio quality equipment to start or get into podcasting or gaming. Even a good high-quality headset with a good mic would work as well.
But just bear in mind, if you get a USB microphone, you'll be a little bit more limited for connectivity. For instance, if you buy a USB microphone, even a nice one like a Yeti or something, you wouldn't be able to take that and connect it to your camera that you bought that has like an XLR. Or
unless you get the Yeti Pro.
Unless you get the Yeti Pro that has that option for it. So consider what you'll be using it for, where you'll be using it for. And then the last thing I would say is that if you're worried a lot about outside noise, if you're not in a very quiet environment, then make sure whatever type of mic you get is unidirectional, so you can direct it towards you versus omnidirectional that will pick up. Whereas omnidirectional does actually work in an environment work better in an environment that's naturally quiet because it'll pick up everything better in it, and it won't have quite as narrow of a field of
That's where the Yeti's
sound.
Price really does come in, though, because it has adjustable pickups. Like you can choose cardioid or even interview. There's an interview version of that mic where you turn it to interview mode, and it picks up the person on this end of the mic and this end of the mic equally. It's not stereo. It's still a stereo pickup on each side. But you can play around with those different settings and gain, as well as it has an audio plug for monitoring. So for $100, if you guys have the money and you're just serious about podcasting or doing game casting, it's a good mic to consider.
Excellent.
It's just a little bulky.
Yeah, I haven't tried that one myself, but yeah, I don't know if I need a new mic yet or not.
Your audio sounds fantastic. I think.
Well, thank you. I'm working on actually, I just got a new camera, but I haven't talked about it yet. I'm going to save that. All right, I think we have a couple more questions.
I bet you know what it is.
Brett Taggart asks, what do you think of the prospects of FreeSync? I think the prospects of FreeSync are good because there's been a lot of talk about it for 2015. AMD's behind it, and there's some other large consortiums that are behind it as well. I think what still remains to be seen is what sort of interplay we're going to see between G-Sync and FreeSync.
Right.
Whether GPUs on either side will be able to play nice with the other technology. I always want to be able to use anything with anything, so I don't like the more closed-off environments. But we're still at a point right now where if you want frame rate control, you have to use G-Sync because that's all that's available. So NVIDIA still has the upper hand for now.
I'm very ignorant to FreeSync. I have not researched it much.
It's basically NVIDIA's or AMD's answer to G-Sync.
Right, but is it going to be more open source? Because like
that's usually what AMD plays to, is they try to sort of take jabs at NVIDIA's kind of a little bit more closed model, like with CUDA and that sort of thing,
right.
and G-Sync, and yeah, they seem to be talking about designing it to be open, and it's something that they took that was part of the DisplayPort spec. And they're trying to take that was actually made for laptop monitors for power savings, and they're trying to take that technology with the new DisplayPort spec and integrate it to enable the frame rate control.
I see.
It doesn't have quite originally when they were talking about it. It seemed like they were going to say like any AMD card going back to like the 5000 or 4000 series will be able to have it, but it's not quite that compatible. You will still need a newer GPU.
I'm a little more interested in what's going to happen with the future of Mantle versus DX12, and if full DX12 is going to have the same hardware overhead improvements that we're seeing with Mantle.
Well, the longer that it takes for DX12 to launch, the more support for Mantle there's going to be, and the more entrenched it's going to get. I would say like if DX12 launched now, it would be bad for Mantle, because DX12 probably, I feel like there's a lot more momentum behind DirectX, but
I don't know why. I still feel like they're going to hold off on DX12 until the GM210 launches. That's just throwing it out there as a prediction, but I feel that is the way things are going to go.
You mean the Maxwell?
Yeah, Maxwell GM210.
Well, but I mean that would be more. DirectX wouldn't really be NVIDIA's decision, although I mean I know they partner. I can try. Whoa, I have a lot of new notifications. I want to upgrade my graphics card, but currently the CPU farts. What?
I hate farting CPUs, especially when I'm recording.
Kevin's CPU keeps farting. I'm sorry, Kevin. FreeSync doesn't require extra hardware, meaning lower cost.
Fractal Josh has just unsubbed us.
Fractal Josh, unsubscribe?
We're not answering his questions.
Fine, Fractal Josh.
Didn't want your sub anyway.
Wait, who did he unsub?
I don't know.
Three possibilities here.
Well, I don't know. He texted me, so I'm sure it's me.
Nuclear Gaming asks, should I get a Corsair H100 or an H105? An H100i or an H105?
The 105 is the 120 millimeter fans, right?
Yes.
I like intelligent stuff, so maybe the 110i or the 100i.
The 105 is thicker. It's got a thicker radiator. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Don't we have one of them?
I'd still go with the H100i.
There's one down there.
Personally.
No, there's H110. We don't have one. The H100i is going to give you more options for you can light up the colors and all that kind of stuff.
So. Software controlled.
Yeah, I mean it's really H100i if you are more interested in aesthetics. H105 is probably going to perform a little bit better. Okay.
But marginally.
Yeah, marginally. How much of a performance boost do you think I would get upgrading from an FX 4130 overclocked to 4.4 gigahertz on an 8350? Oh, going from an FX 4130 to an 8350. You'll get a lot of performance in multi-threaded stuff.
Right.
Since you're already overclocking your 41, what do you have, a 4130? Since you're already overclocking your 4130, your IPCs are probably not going to improve.
They're the exact same core architecture. You just have twice as many of them.
Mm-hmm. So, some stuff you'll see a big improvement. If you're playing Far Cry 4, maybe.
Yeah.
Or Battlefield 4, or anything that uses more than 4 cores in particular. But if you're doing basic day-to-day stuff, it won't really make much of a difference.
Battlefield definitely uses more cores. I know the 16 logical cores in the 5960X all show activity simultaneously when playing, but it's like 8% per core.
Just it hits each one with a nice mild workload.
Just a little bit.
Keeps things nice and mellow. All right, I think we should probably. Well, no, we got another minute or two. All right, we did have one other actual topic that
don't forget, we started 2 minutes late.
We started 2 minutes late. All right, here's another topic to discuss. I was actually.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is a response to whoever earlier said that we were unprepared for today's video. I had this whole segue planned. So we were talking about all the deals for Black Friday, right? And I was going to be like, hey, if you want a 4K monitor,
but then Jenny yelled at us.
Acer has a 28-inch 4K monitor. By the way, all these 28-inch TN panel, 4K monitors, all use the same panel inside.
Yeah.
They have Asus, AOC, Acer, Monoprice. This is the Acer one. There's other ones too. Anyway, they all use the same panel inside. They just have different construction. But anyway, 4K monitor here, the Asus B286HK for $350.
See, I made reference to that in my video.
Oh, it's back, but it's sold out.
100 million to 1 contrast ratio. Really?
Oh, really? They listed the 100 million to 1. They went 9-digit. I've seen 20 million to 1. Asus has some 20 million to 1 advertisements.
I mentioned in my video about the situations in which they'll mention these outrageous numbers, but really the real, contrast ratio with a normal ambient light.
Does it have true listed? See, I'm okay with the fake huge number if they list true as well, but they don't list true.
I think the true is really the 1,000 to 1 in parentheses.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It's right there. Yeah. You take your pick. 100 billion to 1 or 1,000 to 1. What seems more reasonable to you? Okay, continuing to my segue though. It has to be like 4K monitor. You want a 4K monitor? You got a 4K monitor for $350 right here, which would be a great deal if they were in stock, and maybe they'll come in stock more later if you guys are interested. It's item number 24-009-659. Search for that on Newegg. But how about a 5K monitor?
That's not an iMac.
5K would be better. We've seen 5K with the iMac.
As long as we're not talking about the Marathon, I can never make it.
5K display. There's a big difference between looking at a 5K display and running a 5K.
Yeah.
So they talk about ramping up 5K monitor production in 2015. So maybe you can skip 4K and go to 5K. Now the biggest thing about this particular article that struck me was they always like the chart comparisons, and this is the first chart comparison I've seen with 4K, which is the darker orange, 3840 by 2160, to 5K, 5120 by 2880.
I hate when they put it into perspective.
And then you look at it and you're like, that's so much more.
Well,
but
is the resolution going to outpace the hardware gains in gaming though? Is it going to be practical for gaming? Because let's face it, that's what the audience, granted not everyone's gaming, the majority is asking gaming questions.
Yeah.
So if 4K is just starting to get to the point to where hardware is able to really push it at playable FPS, then 5K comes out, and then it's going to be 8K, and it's just going to be...
Well, that's how they keep pushing the technology.
Yeah.
I'm kind of drooling over the 5K, though, I mean, I have to admit. But what we need here is both panels need to be huge. I'm going to say 30 inches. You need to be like over 30 inches
28 is too small for me on 4K. I'm going to need like an 80-inch monitor.
Yeah, or they're really going to need to beef up the UI stuff, the UI elements going on, particularly for like new versions of Windows. I'm not sure how.
Well, and it's funny because like Windows will scale the UI, but then you still open a program that doesn't scale like Steam.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
and it's still that's small.
It's this little box you can't read.
How small the XSplit is on the 4K monitor over here.
And that's showing the actual. Is that the actual output size right there?
I think no, it's not. It's just small. But yeah, Anantech has an article here. Dell has previewed a 27-inch. So see, here's the problem: 27-inch 5K. It's like when you get these like phones, the phones that have QHD screens and they're like 5 inches.
I don't want to have to be like, okay, time to go to my monitor and put on my magnifying glass. You know.
I don't know. But the resolution for gaming is going to be, it's going to look so pretty. Okay, so Dell's got...
Maybe it'll challenge Skunkworks, because 4K was no challenge.
Skunkworks needs a challenge. Look at all these displays sorted by PPI.
Wow.
So if you want an LG... Oh, so... Yeah, this is a cool chart. This is an Antec article. It has charts going from cell phones all the way up. So from the ZenBooks, Apple Retina displays. So this Dell UltraSharp 27-inch 5K has a PPI of 218, which for a monitor is pretty massive.
Yep.
That's very close. The only thing that's close is probably the NEC monitor that's in the background over here is a 24-inch 4K. If you think that the 28-inch 4K is a small UI, the 24-inch 4K is like this.
I remember the Panasonic 20-inch tablet. They had a 20-inch tablet in the 2013 CES that was a 4K panel, and I could not find a pixel in the thing.
That's what I was saying. So you can get really close to it and you still can't see the pixels. Yeah. That's cool. All right. Well, that is just about going to wrap up the show for today, guys. Thank you so much for coming out and joining us. I know, it does go by fast. Jay, thank you for stopping by today.
Anytime.
I'm sure we'll have you back soon. If you guys would like to see more of Jay's content, he posted over on his YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/JayzTwoCents. That's Jayz.
Not JayzTwoCents.
Not Jay-Z. Jay-Z's 2 cents is his new album.
The S was taken, so stop asking.
I think that's supposed to drop in January. Jay's. What if Jay-Z came out with an album called Jay's 2 Cents? How mad would you be?
I would immediately go viral.
It would steal. Well, it would either really help you,
Do it,
or it would steal all your SEO. And then when people
Yeah.
try to search for you, they come up with a bunch of Jay-Z stuff.
My
Anyway,
SEO is fairly well established,
it's
though.
doing pretty good. Okay, so yeah, check that out. Jay also does a weekly live stream. You stream on YouTube though, right?
It streams to YouTube Thursdays at 6 p.m.
Thursday 6 p.m.
Jay and Jerry Barnacles.
Barnacles Nerdgasm also joins there, and I've joined them every once in a while. I should come back on. Can I
Yeah,
come
you
back
should
on?
come in person down there.
Oh yeah, I can do that. That'd be cool. All right, but thanks for watching, guys. We're gonna have more regular content next week. We're gonna have a Yoked episode on Wednesday. We're gonna have another alt tab on Friday. I think I'm on Yoked next week, so stay tuned for that.
I don't know.
Please enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your shopping experiences. Do it online if possible, but if you go into stores, stay safe. Be nice to people. It's the holidays, spirit of the season.
Unless they try and take that last one, then you
Unless
punch
they
them,
take
punch
your
them for it.
toy, in which case you have every right to annihilate them.